You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
Welcome along. We're here to give you a shortcut, really, to what's actually making waves in tech. Today, it's all about data. We've got some fascinating sources covering multimodal analytics, real-time MySQL, and this thing called enterprise data orchestration. Our plan is basically to unpack the key takeaways for you, give you a clear picture of what's genuinely cutting edge.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember this isn't just about the tech itself. It's more about how these changes let organizations use information differently for, real impact.
Okay, good point. So let's start with that real-time data piece. How are companies actually getting good at this?
Well, Grab is a really interesting case study. They had this kind of fragmented system for stream processing, managing data flows, right?
Right.
So they built a central gateway using Flink SQL. Think of it like 3 layers, a shared engine, an integration layer for things like Kafka streams, and then a portal for queries.
Okay, so like simplifying the access.
Exactly. And the big win, analysts, developers, they can push out real-time data pipelines in less than 10 minutes. That's a huge jump in agility. It really opens things up.
Wow, under 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's impressive. But, okay, what if you want that real-time analysis without actually having to move your data everywhere? Is that even feasible?
It is, actually. LINE MANGA did this with ClickHouse. Instead of a massive migration from MySQL, they integrated ClickHouse directly on top.
Oh, okay.
So they could run these super fast SQL joins across product data, user data, all in real time, analyzing reader behavior, checking if recommendations work, tracking revenue.
All without shifting the underlying data.
Got it. Precisely. No costly, complex data move.
Okay, so real-time is clearly powerful.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of power, generative AI, it's everywhere. But how is it really changing something like enterprise search? Is the hype matching reality now?
Well, the initial hype is definitely cooling off a bit. Now we're seeing the practical side. It's pushing search towards being context aware, much smarter than just matching keywords. So yes, vector databases, data embeddings, they're important pieces for things like RAG, retrieval augmented generation, and these LLM workflows. But honestly, the real work, the tricky part, is actually tuning the search relevance, making sure you surface the most useful, contextually right information.
That makes total sense. It's not just finding something, but the right thing. So if we need context, what about bringing different kinds of data together, like structured data with images or audio?
Yeah, that's multimodal analytics. BigQuery's ObjectRef is a good example here. It essentially lets you unify your normal structured tables with unstructured stuff, images, audio files, whatever stored in, say, Google Cloud Storage.
So it can query across them.
Exactly. Using standard SQL and Python. Imagine linking e-commerce support tickets to the actual customer call recordings, or maybe product listings to their images. Gives you that full picture.
Okay, that does sound powerful for deeper insights. So with all these different tools and data types, how do you actually manage these complex environments effectively?
That leads into this idea of a universal data orchestrator. Kestra is one platform doing this. It offers both code and a UI for building data pipelines.
So flexible for different teams.
Right. It's built for modular enterprise-scale pipelines. It integrates different tools and even has features to help with AI-driven development. It sort of streamlines the whole workflow creation and management process.
And thinking about enterprise scale, any best practices for making sure these big deployments actually work without becoming a huge mess?
Definitely. Lessons from big Power BI rollouts, for instance, really stress structured governance. You need streamlined semantic models, consistent data definitions, and centralized golden data sets.
Golden data sets, like the single source of truth.
Pretty much. It avoids data sprawl, stops performance from tanking, and fundamentally, it builds trust. That helps accelerate self-service analytics across the company.
Right, trust is key.
Yeah.
Now, switching gears slightly, there was also mentioned something that sounded like a radical simplification of the whole data lakehouse idea.
Yeah, Duck Lake. It's an interesting approach. It basically puts metadata, the data about the data, into any regular SQL database.
Okay.
And the actual data, just Parquet files in cloud storage.
So what does that replace?
Well, it potentially gets rid of the need for separate data catalogs, things like Avro or JSON layers, maybe even Spark in some cases. But you still get ACID transactions reliability and really fast query planning, even at massive scale. The idea is to slash complexity and cost.
Interesting. Lots of innovation driving efficiency. But, with all this data power, there are always other considerations. Let's touch on something maybe a bit more, unsettling.
You're likely thinking about the reports concerning Meta and this alleged local host tracking.
Exactly. What was reportedly happening there?
The allegation is that they found ways to bypass privacy settings, essentially linking web visits that should have been private, like in incognito mode or via VPN, back to user account.
Yep.
It seems to involve technical methods using WebRTC localhost ports and specific tracking scripts, kind of sidestepping Android's security controls. Regulators are now looking into potentially massive GDPR fines, billions of euros.
Wow.
Yeah, it really throws a spotlight on the need for much stronger user consent mechanisms and better technical safeguards against this kind of tracking.
It really does. And just looking at this whole landscape we've discussed, all these tools, platforms, definitions, doesn't it sometimes feel a bit, I don't know, fragmented?
That's definitely a criticism you hear. Some argue the data stack today is just, well, flooded with different, often conflicting semantic layers, different ways of defining the same data, often locked into specific vendor tools.
Which makes integration harder.
Exactly. It can lead to vendor lock-in and really limit flexibility when you're trying to bring everything together coherently.
What a journey today, though. We've gone from real-time stream processing through AI search, multimodal data, orchestration,
Yeah.
right up to serious privacy concerns.
Yeah, and if you kind of zoom out, it's clear that understanding these trends isn't just about knowing the tech specs. It's about seeing how data is fundamentally reshaping, well, everything. Business operations, sure, but also our personal privacy.
Absolutely. So maybe a final thought for you, our listener. As these data technologies get ever more powerful and intertwined, how much more critical does it become for us to not just absorb information about them, but to really question and evaluate their wider implications? Something to perhaps think about until next time.
You've been listening to The Vocal Technologist. Tune in next time.